Hi guys, today I'm going to be rendering some basic textures using a combination of Copics and colored pencils. I'm going to start with doing some wood grain, and we're just going to focus on getting the outline of the wood grain sketched in using a light 2H pencil. Using a photo as a reference, so I've just pulled up a wood grain texture. Try using a high quality wood grain texture that you find on Google and follow it as closely as you can, going really lightly with the pencil. So I'm holding quite far back on it with the grip that's really light, so I can just map out where I'm going to end up going over with my Copics later on. So I've got the general outline now established. Next it's on to using some Copics. I'm going to start with just some really light brown colors. Looking at these three. Maybe we'll start with E11 and just going from the outside in. And I'm not too worried about having streaks in the final colour that's being put down by this marker, because it sort of fits with the grain. So you can kind of force the grain, the white lines that form when your marks overlap, by following some of that grain that we initially mapped out. So if your marker goes in between the lines and follows their curves, you'll get some of those white lines left behind that will map neatly to the wood grain. So looking carefully at the reference, I'm going to try to get some of these areas using the same marker that are a bit darker. Next I'm just going to fill in the rest of the white areas so that it's not just showing through white with the kind of skin texture, and just loosely pass that over to try to make it a little bit yellower. Okay, and whilst that's still wet, you can go back in with the darker colour and slightly blend those two together. Okay, so it's slowly building up. I'll just give that a second to dry and move on to introducing some colored pencils to build up the final elements of detail. So all the directions that my lines are going in, I'm trying to match the direction of the grain itself, so it's all going top to bottom, coming out from the very edge. So the corner where this darkest point meets, where the detail is, or the colored pencil is at its darkest, I'm moving the pencil out from there, trying to build up a slight gradient into the rest of the wood texture. I might just lighten some of this off a little bit with like a little bit of an orange, even take some of the yellow back into it. And the good thing about the colored pencils is that you can go back in with your Copic and blend all that stuff. So it makes it soluble again, and it takes the colored pencil and mixes it with the Copic itself. So it's kind of like mixing your paint or mixing other colors together in different mediums. So it gives you that result really quickly and really nicely with the Copics and the colored pencils. So you can achieve the texture, the desired effect with the wood grain. So I like to use the lighter color that I've got on this surface here to blend the rest of it together. So when blending the colored pencils in, try using the lightest color on your drawing, and that way you're not going to be obliterating the subtlety and the details that you're just trying to build up gradually. So work in layers and try not to rush it too much. Take your time and let it develop naturally. And if you haven't got a certain color, particularly a darker one, just go in with your really light gray. Don't go too far with it, but just really lightly in those areas that you're wanting to indicate that they're a bit darker. If you put a little bit of gray on those, you'll start to take that value closer towards black, but you're not wanting to move it too far. You still want to retain the color. So if you put just a little bit down your Copic, you can start to really build that up. And it's really important that every mark that you're making, it's following the direction of the wood grain. Okay, cool. Might leave that one there for the moment.